Hey guys, this is David with your Information Security Technology class. I wanted to do a video on Virtru secure email since we made such a big deal of that during the class. Now Virtru is a pretty new product. It's not perfect and it only works with Chrome and Firefox currently. They are working on Safari, Outlook.com, some of those other cloud things, but it works on Gmail and Outlook desktop application. So those are the two that you can work with. If you happen to have a Gmail account or a Microsoft account, you can use your Gmail browser email and you can use the desktop app and check your Outlook.com email address or whatever you have. They're also working with Exchange and they're trying to work and add some new other platforms, some other email clients, but it's a pretty new company. The technology is amazing, but as is the case in most of these new companies, it takes a while. They get their funding and so on, and they get to where at some point they'll probably cover most of the major email clients out there. In the meantime, I'm going to show you a shortcut that is not perfect, but it is a way to do it if you have your own email client domain, your own email domain, like awesomehouses.com or something, and you are Frank at awesomehouses.com, and you happen to use a GoDaddy account or something for email. Well, there is a way to do it. It's a bit of a roundabout way, but it may help you. We'll see. I did discover a bug that I don't like, but in spite of that, I think it's a good way to work with it. What it involves quickly is you have to create a Gmail account if you don't already have one, but you only need one. And then what we will do is set up some settings in your Gmail account to check and send email via your existing awesomehouses.com or whatever it is, so that you can send and receive within the Gmail client. The Gmail client, or the browser window that you use to check Gmail, has an extension available because they work with Gmail that creates the secure email. And so you can create it within Gmail and still send it through your existing email servers, and it'll be encrypted. But there's one small bug that really bugs me, and I'll show that to you when I get there. It'll be very obvious to you. But until they get all the technology bugs worked out, at least it's something to consider if you do not use Gmail, Outlook, or I forgot to mention Yahoo. It also works with Yahoo.com, Yahoo Mail. However, I set up a free Yahoo email because I did not have one, and I was unable to get Virtru to install or to connect to the extension in the browser and get me authenticated so that I can read the secure emails within the browser. So instead of that, it will open up a separate browser window tab, another tab on your browser, and it'll actually come directly from Virtru to the recipient. And that's where one of the bugs comes in. But you'll see when we get there. Okay, so there are several things we have to do. I'm going to try to make this easy. But as you can imagine, let me just check the status of this real quick. Okay, as you can imagine, it's not easy to do something technical when you're not technical. So I'm going to try to go slowly and show you how to set this up. If you have a Gmail account, very simple. All you have to do is install the browser extension. And you do that by opening another tab here. Let me back up just a bit. I've got a Gmail account here. I've got a Yahoo Mail account here and an Outlook.com account here. So I've got three different tabs up here with three different email providers. And even though I'm in Chrome, each of those is using their own client to do the mail. So I'm actually logged into each of those so you can see directly how they look differently. And this will be my platform for showing you how this works. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my new tab. I'm just going to type in Virtru. And Virtru.com will give me this screen when I first get there. And it says, install now. This is free for all of us individuals. For you brokers, if you want to do this on a business level, it is available to you, and then you can add users to your account. So you could say, as a broker, pay the $5 a month for your client or for your brokers per person. And I don't know if they'll do discounts on different sizes of groups or not, but nevertheless, it runs $5 a month for the premium version, and that allows you to add users and do some other cool things at the end. But we'll get to that. This is just for an individual user. If you're just an individual real estate agent, realtor, you can just do this on your own. Okay, so that's where we're at right now. So let's install this by clicking the button, and I'm in Chrome again. So it's going to ask me, do I also have an Outlook account? It will work with the desktop version of Outlook 2010, 13, and 16 at the moment. And then you can install that here if that's what you like to use. For most of us using Gmail, all I have to do is install it from this link here. It asks me if I want to install the extension to Google, to the Chrome browser, to be more specific. And I'm going to say add extension. It's then going to reload my email with that extension included. Now, if you look right up here, before I get there, this little, first time install, this little thing's going to pop up and kind of walk you through a real quick tutorial. I'm not going to do that because I already know, so I'm just going to say skip. I already know how to use Virtru. Up here in the right-hand corner, however, is a little extension emblem that says Virtru if you hover over it. And if you click on it, you can see that I've added it to my cooldad@gmail.com account. And it gives me a chance to do some other things like feedback, read about it, show licenses, and so on. So, not important, but I want you to see that that's up there, and that indicates that it is installed as an extension on your browser. So now, very simply, if that's all I did and I just wanted to send emails encrypted, I could just say compose on my left-hand side, and it'll say, right here's this new bar in my Gmail composition screen that shows this little slider over here for Virtru. It says it's off right now. All I have to do is turn it on by clicking that little slider, and I now have activated Virtru in my email browser client. Now, the first thing I have to do is prove who I am. So first thing it says is we'll activate CoolDad at Gmail. So I'm going to click that link. Allergies are bothering me, so if I clear my throat, I'm sorry about that. And now it has activated me because it already knows that I am a Gmail user, and it just wants to know if I'm going to be using this email address for these emails. And the answer is yes. So I'll just go ahead and start showing you how to do this. Excuse me. Okay, so right here, first thing I recommend is you go down here to this little link that says Customize Intro. Click on that and just type in here. There is a default that says I am using Virtru and I'd like you to kind of get on board with it. But what I'd like to do is something a little more personal, like, hey guys, I'm using, let's see, for your protection, let's try something like to protect your private info, I'm now using encrypted email. Just follow the instructions to authenticate yourself. And then I might say something like, David with Cell State Crossroads Realty. Okay, that way it's very personal, and they know that when they get this email that it's not going to be from, you know, a phishing email or somebody's hacked into my account or something. So I'm just trying to be very personal and let them know who I am, and it's not likely someone would write this message if it wasn't me. So that's one thing. Then I'm just going to go ahead and send an email to I'm in my Cool Dad Gmail, so I'm going to send this to my Yahoo email, and it's going to be drm797987654 at Yahoo, which I just created just for the purposes of this demonstration. And I'm going to say test Virtru, and then I'm just going to put test here. And then I'm going to send this out, and it says secure send in this button instead of just send. So now it's going to actually secure this email on the Virtru server, and it's going to send it out. Now if I go to my Yahoo email, I just tried this already earlier and it didn't work, so we'll mess with that later. And if I just watch for my email coming in, it says, hey David, here's your email. Well, excuse me. Well, Yahoo's blocking images. I'm just going to turn the images on because I know it's safe. And it says exactly what I typed in here. And then it asks me if I want to unlock the message. Well, currently I don't have the browser extension enabled for Yahoo. So it just asks me if I want to unlock it. And it's going to actually pull up another tab up here from Virtru's server. And it's going to open that email in that server secure window. If I had the browser extension working on Yahoo Mail right now, I would be able to unlock the message and read it right within here, within my Yahoo email client. But because I don't, you see it opens another screen, gives me the alternative. So this is what they'll see the first time in most cases. And it'll say test, and of course, test Virtru as the subject and test here. Okay, so here's one of the bugs I was talking about. Even though back here, I sent, well, you know what? I can't show you that yet. I have to set some things up first. Okay, so anyway, I got my email from here. So it shows from Cool Dad and to my Yahoo and unencrypted it for me. Boom. Now there's some other features. For instance, if I pay for this is the free version, but if I pay the $5 a month version at $60 a year paid annually, I can get features like disable forwarding, which really helps my security because then my recipient can't take my encrypted email and just forward it to whoever they want, which could allow sensitive financial information to be escape into recipients' emails that it shouldn't. So I can block that forwarding. I can also recall an email if I choose to. So maybe I sent this to the wrong recipient and I'm like, oh nuts, I got to get that back. So I can recall that email from my, probably the sent email thing here or whatever, from wherever I sent it. So if I look at this, I could probably go back and, like right here's this little revoke message thing right here. So if I do that, it says I revoked it here now. So those are some nice features. And now if I go back to my Yahoo email here, and let me just check my reader again. Okay, it says, we're having trouble reading your email, try later. Now, usually it would say email revoked. So you can see that, you know, if you want to bring something back and you don't want it to actually have gone out before it's read, you can actually get it back in a lot of cases. So those are just some cool features for the paid version. All right, back on to some other things here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this email because I don't want anything in my inbox when I do these things. Okay, so this is going to be like part 2 now. What we're going to do is assume that this Outlook email here is the one that I use for work. And I've been using it for years, and I don't want to change it. So one option I might have, because all I've ever used is Outlook, or Hotmail, or whatever, is I'm going to set Gmail up to actually do the sending and receiving of the emails from Outlook. So no longer will I use this particular interface to send and receive my emails because I don't have the option of using Virtru here. But if I go back to my Gmail account, I do have the option of using Virtru here regardless of whose servers I send the email through. I know that's cryptic, so let me just show you. I'm going to go to this gear icon right here on the top right hand side, and I'm going to click the button and get a drop down. I'm going to come down here to settings, and that's going to give me all my Gmail settings. Now if I look at these tabs over here, I go straight to the right until I see accounts and import. Click on that. And now down here it says send mail as. And the next one down is check email from other accounts. So I'm going to set my Outlook email up in both of these so that I can both send email from my Outlook account inside my Gmail account, and I can check my Outlook email in my Gmail account. So let's do this first. First, it's telling me right now that I'm using my CoolDad at Gmail. Well, that's my default because that's the actual account I'm in with Gmail. But I'm going to add another email address I own. So I'm going to click that. You can edit the name up here, but typically we'll just put in whatever you have set up in your Gmail account. And as an aside, if you don't have an email account with Gmail, it's very easy to set one up, just like all the other free email providers. Just create the account, get a nice strong password, and you'll have what you need to do this step. So I'm going to type in my Outlook email account, which is drm9876 at outlook.com. Now this little box says treat as an alias, just leave that checked. Click next step. And it collects some information from this SMTP server. Now an SMTP server is the one that sends mail. So it says smtplive.com, because that's the server that I'm set up to send email through with this account. So I'm going to put in my Hotmail, my Outlook email address or email password. And I'm going to hit add account. Now this here is just whatever the default is fine, because they usually both have both of them in the large providers, and they of course are recommending, Google's recommending you use this one. So I'm just going to leave it at the default and just click add account and see what happens. Okay, so now it says no problem, we can add your account, but we need you to do one more thing. Go check your Outlook email for a code. So I'm going to go to my Outlook email account right here, which is over here, and I'm going to check my email, and there's going to be both a link here and a code here. So I'm going to grab this code, copy it, go back down here to my window that's open still, click in, get that open again, click and paste that code inside this box, and click verify. That is how the link occurs between your Outlook email server and Gmail's client. So all that's happening now is I now see in my settings of my Gmail account that I have my Outlook account sending email through my Outlook server, which is this one here, and some other information, and that it's one of two accounts that I can send mail from. So I can send it either from CoolDad or from drm9876 at Outlook. Now if you look over here on the right, if I just created this account for Gmail just so I could do this, I'm probably never going to send an email from the Gmail account. So what I'll do is change my default. I'll say make my drm9876 at Outlook my default account. And what that means is that it will send by default when I create an email, and I'll just pop that up right now, compose. And if I click in the box here, you can see Virtru is on and active, and it's sending from drm9876 at Outlook. So even though it's going through Microsoft Server, it's going to encrypt it here and send it encrypted through Microsoft Server because I'm using the Gmail client, which allows me to use Virtru. Now, they'll probably add this to Outlook.com at some point. But in the meantime, this is one way to get around it. All right, I'm going to trash this draft because I don't want to do that yet. So I want to make a point or two here. Number one, sorry guys, I have to clear my throat sometimes. Number one, I have a Gmail account that I've created potentially just for this reason. So I don't want to send from my email, my Gmail account. I've added my send capability of my Outlook.com account, which I use for work all the time, let's say, to my Gmail account so that I can send emails through Outlook, but also encrypt them because I have access to Virtru in Gmail. Now, as long as I'm doing that, I may as well check my emails from Outlook here as well. So I'm going to jump over here to where it says send email as. I'm done with that. I'm going to come down here. Oh, and by the way, I also made it my default so that it would always, new emails would always default to that Outlook account. Come down to the next section here, check mail from other accounts, and I'm going to add this. This is called a POP server email connection. And from what I can see, at least with Outlook, there's two kinds of email access. One's called IMAP, and one's called Outlook. Well, there's actually more than that. It's not Outlook, I'm sorry. Let me say it again. One's IMAP and one is POP. I'm getting tired, I apologize. And there are more than them, too, but those are the two most common ways to check your email. And the IMAP email essentially mirrors what's going on in your other email account. So it instantly, when an email comes in, it instantly populates in the client that you're using. In this case, when an email comes into Outlook, it instantly populates in my Gmail account since I've set it. I'm going to set it up that way. The problem is I don't see a way to set up IMAP in Gmail for Outlook. But it does give me the other option, which is the POP. And POP is one that actually just checks on an interval. So it'll just go out and look at your Outlook account in this case and see if there's any new emails. And if there are, it'll bring them back and display them. So you won't be getting them as instantaneously unless you set that interval low. So maybe every 15 minutes or so kind of a thing. But we'll see what we can do here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in my Yahoo account, my Outlook account. I have so many I can't keep track anymore. DRM 9876 at Outlook.com. And then I hit next step. And it asks me for my password again. And it populates this other stuff. So I'll put my password in. Now, I'm going to stop here because it asks me what POP server do you want to use. And if I click my drop down, I see there's lots of choices. So I want to know, well, which one is it? So I'm going to go over here to another tab. And I'm just going to type in Outlook.com email settings. I'm just going to Google it. I get this nice little immediate result from Google, and it shows me both POP and IMAP instructions. So up here on the top half is the IMAP, and it tells me what the settings are. For the POP, it starts at step 4. POP server name, pop-mail.outlook.com. And the POP port is 995. And the encryption method is SSL. Now, you may have to go back and forth, but you don't have to worry about this SMTP 7 and 8. We already set that up, and Google took care of it automatically for us. But these 3 steps right here are for checking our email to see what's on our Outlook.com email server. So right here, I need these 3 pieces of information. I'm going to go back down to my taskbar here. I'm going to open up my little dialog here that I'm using to set up my checking of email. I'm going to go down here and select the pop-mail.outlook.com, which is what this says over here. Select that one. It says port 995 for that. It's already selected for me. And this checkbox here, it says leave a copy of retrieved message on the server. So if I check via POP in my Gmail client, do I or do I not want to leave a copy of that email in my Outlook account? So in other words, if an email comes into Outlook and I check it in Gmail here, do I want this email to be deleted and only keep the one in Gmail? I see no problem with that because Microsoft doesn't really have a sense or a notion of excuse me. Well, they do have an archive function here, but since I'm going to be checking it in Gmail, and I know what my space available is and those kinds of things in Gmail. In fact, if you look down here, it says I have 0.01 gigabytes used of 15 gigabytes. So I have a long time before I need to worry about this particular email account. And frankly, I just don't know when my Gmail or my Outlook account would fill up. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave this the setting as go ahead and just delete this email once it's been checked and brought over to here into my inbox here. I'm going to have it just delete this one, and then this will never have anything in it except maybe spam or whatever. So I'm going to go back to the window here, and I'm just going to not select that leave a copy checkbox. Then it says always use a secure SSL when retrieving mail. Well, let's go back to those settings and see what it says. POP encryption method SSL. So if I look down here, it says use SSL. I'm just indicating yes, I do want to check that because it does use SSL over here. All right, and then it says label incoming messages. Now I can label these messages anything I want. In this case, they're coming from Outlook and they're going into Gmail. So I'm just going to click the box that says label incoming messages DRM9876. That way I'll know where they came from. And a label is a Gmail notion that kind of like a folder, but it just has attachment to the email to help you indicate what category it belongs to. All right, and then I'm just going to leave this one alone because I don't want to skip the inbox in this case, which is what it's asking me. I want it to go into my inbox, and I'm going to ask it to add my account because I've got all my settings set up now. Takes a couple seconds, gets all its settings set up, and now my Outlook.com account is in my Gmail account. It's being both sent from that email and I receive email in my Gmail account that comes into my Outlook account. Now, as you can see here, it's checking email. So the first time I set that check up, it's going to go out to the Outlook account, use the credentials that I entered, and it's going to pull the emails in that are currently there. If you have a lot of emails, what you can do, now this is only checking for new email here, anything that's come in since any emails you've read. Okay, I chopped up the video a bit here just to make sure I was trying to stay with the flow. So I was saying that this checks any emails when you set this up down here on your POP. It checks emails since any that have been read in your Outlook account. So if I had any in here that were already read, they wouldn't populate in. It's only going to check the new ones that are coming in since I set this up. So what you do is you can go up here to this import mailing contacts link, click on that, and it takes you through this little wizard. It says which account do you want to import from, and then just go through that. What it does is it pulls in all the emails that are existing here, and it'll take a while. If you've got a lot of emails, it'll take a daggum while. Let me tell you, I did one. It took me, I don't know, multiple hours. So you may or may not want to fool with that. You may want to just leave them in there and just refer back to these. But since you're now using Gmail as your primary email client, it's very convenient to check everything in here and have all that stuff in your sent mail, your important, and all that sort of thing. So I don't know what the mapping looks like from Outlook.com to Gmail as far as these categories, but it will bring them all in, and they will be in all mail here in this link. I click on that, I got a million of these, emails. So that's what you'll see. At least in there, you'll have everything, if not separated out perfectly. So that's what you do there for importing email from your Yahoo account or Hotmail or whatever you want right there. So that's one way to do that. Then you'll have all your emails in Gmail, and you can just continue from there to use it all the time. Okay, that's it. Wanted to just show you that real quick. Now, one thing I want to point out is that if you use your Gmail account regularly, then down here in this section where it says send email as, and we set up this account, you'll want to have your reply from the same address the message was sent to checked. That means you can send, when you reply to an email to this account, because you're checking both, in my case, both CoolDad and Outlook accounts here, I want it to reply to those emails based on whichever address those came to. So if it came to my CoolDad address, I want to respond with my CoolDad address. And if it came to my Outlook address, I want to respond with that one. If you don't use your email address, your Gmail, address, then you can click this button that says always reply from the default address. And that will always, it'll always respond from Outlook.com. So it won't be confusing in the email headers if people are looking for who their email came from. So if you created your Gmail account just expressly for this purpose, and you normally wouldn't use it at all otherwise, you can use this button, and it'll always respond as though it's coming from your Outlook account when you reply to emails. Okay, so I want to just go ahead and check that box since this is what this one's going to do. And I believe that's everything I need to do here in the settings. Now, I'm going back to my inbox, and I am going to go to my I'm going to go to my inbox here, and I'm going to compose an email with Virtru turned on to DRM 978, 97, okay, I wanted to send this to Yahoo, to my Yahoo account, not DRM 987654 at Yahoo, which is the one I created just for this demo. And I'm going to say test Virtru, and I'm going to do test in here. And then I'm going to send this email out securely. It's encrypting it, and it is sending it out. Now, if I look at my sent emails here in Gmail, and I look at my test Virtru email that I just sent, you can see that it went from DRM 9876 at Outlook to my Yahoo mail. So at this point, it's a secure email. It actually went through Microsoft's Outlook server, but I was able to encrypt it using Gmail because this browser has the extension available to me. So I'm kind of using Gmail as a shell or a wrapper around my Outlook account. Now there is a problem. If I go to my Yahoo account to check my email, and I see that I have an email here, I click on that email, and I go look up here, I see Outlook.com. But if I unlock this message, it'll open this separate window, and it says up here who it's from, CoolDad. This is a bug in that I can't control the fact that my Virtru account is connected to my CoolDad Gmail account. So when the email is encrypted and sent to the recipient, because of the way Virtru and Gmail are connected. Okay, sorry, I cut the video off there because I wasn't making sense. What I was trying to say was because of the way Gmail and Virtru are connected, when you open this external tab, and now that I am talking to you again, it's gone, but that's because I'm having issues with Yahoo and the email connection. But because they're connected, when you open that separate tab, it shows the email from address as being the one connected to Gmail, not the one that was supposed to come from Hotmail. Or Outlook, excuse me. So anyway, that's a bug. It's going to bug you. It's going to bug me. That's just the way it goes until they get something fixed on that. But it still works. And so on to the next subject. So I wanted to point out that the first time your recipient gets an email that you send from Virtru, you're going to get this kind of a link here. So this is my recipient email. Click on it. I click the unlock message, and then in another tab up here, I got this message that they sent a message to my Yahoo account to verify myself. Once the recipient verifies themselves, that's all they have to do, and they can continue reading encrypted emails without verifying themselves for up to 30 days. So what I'm going to do, though, is for some reason I'm not getting the email. I've tried 2 or 3 times. I'm not getting the email from Yahoo. So I can't verify myself in this test. But the point I'm making is that once that's done, they won't have to verify themselves again for 30 days. In addition, if they can get the extension to work inside of Yahoo like this, then they can read the email in here directly. Okay, that's a long video. I realize that. It's only intended for those that are having to use Gmail as a wrapper or a workaround for their existing business email because they don't want to change it. It's not perfect, but it is a way to do it and start sending secure email. All right, but because it was so long, I want to do a quick summary at the end of this video, and that'll help you kind of condense the steps. So there'll be a separate video for those of you who have Gmail, Outlook, desktop, or Yahoo. And for Mac users, those who have Chrome or Firefox with either Gmail or Yahoo. For those guys, the setup is really easy. You just go to Virtru, just download the extension, install it, and boom, you're off and running. It tells you how to make it work. Okay, if I didn't make that clear, the summary is the next piece of this, and it sounds like I'm just continuing to drone on from a previous part, but this is the part where you can get the sort of the condensed steps. Thanks for watching, guys. If you use, for instance, Outlook, and that's your regular email account, you cannot get Virtru on Outlook.com yet. So you can go to Google, Gmail, create an account, sign in, do whatever steps they need you to do to authenticate who you are. You might have to put a little code in from your phone, that kind of thing. And then we're going to go to the gear over here on the right. We're going to go to Settings. We're going to go to Accounts and Import, and we're going to use this section here, Send Email As, and we're going to add another email address. We go through those steps. We get this listing showing up in here. Then we go down to the next section and we say, always reply from the default address of this one if you're not using Gmail for anything else, or reply from the same address the message was sent to if you're using both of them. Next section down, check mail from other accounts. You're going to add your same Outlook account here as I have. This one's sending the emails out. This one is receiving the emails. But they're all being done inside the Gmail account. And because of that, if we go back to Inbox, we're able to compose and use the Virtru plugin to encrypt those emails so that they go securely to their recipient. And then just to recap here, once your recipient gets the email, they'll have this link. It'll say whatever your message is here. Unlock the message. If they do not have the extension on their browser, it will open a separate window so that they can read. They are still going to have to identify who they are, and I'm having trouble with that right now, but that's the step that'll happen there. Then it'll open the email for them. If they do have the Virtru extension on their browser, they will be able to unlock and read the message right here within the email, just like they do if it's sent to Google, so Gmail. So those who have the browser extension can send and read the emails within the application or within the browser same window. Those who do not will have to open the separate encrypted window, as in this case here.